Have you ever tried to explain a really big, abstract idea to a kid? It can feel, well, impossible. Like, how do you make something like design or engineering actually make sense to a 7-year-old? Well, today we're going to unpack the playbook from a STEM course that absolutely nails it. Let's dig in and see how they pulled it off.
So, right off the bat, here's the core challenge. I mean, we live in a world that is just jam packed with designed objects, right? Everything from our phones to our chairs. But the idea of design, the process, the intention behind it, the creativity, that's totally abstract. So, how do you even start that conversation with a first grader without, their eyes just completely glazing over?
No, seriously, think about it for a second. Where would you even start? Would you talk about blueprints, prototypes, maybe aesthetics? It is a genuinely tough problem, and it stumps really smart educators and parents all the time. But it turns out there's a surprisingly simple and frankly powerful way to do it.
Okay, so what we're looking at is material from a STEM course for kids, 1st through 4th grade, called Designland. And this thing is designed to be the very first step on a huge journey, from just understanding design all the way to, get this, AI. Its opening lesson is just a brilliant example of how you can make something really complex feel simple and, most importantly, exciting. So the first really clever move that Designland makes is it completely stops treating design as some boring profession or an abstract field of study. Instead, it reframes the whole thing as this tangible, almost magical process of creation. It basically turns it from a what into a how. And just listen to the language they use here. It's not about jobs or industries. It's framed almost like a magic trick. An idea, just a thought in someone's head, becomes a real thing. It connects that invisible world of thought to the physical world a child actually knows and touches every day. This definition just immediately makes the whole concept feel accessible and, personal. And boom, here it is. They break it down into a simple formula. It's a 3-step story: idea, plan, object. This isn't some dry, boring definition. It's a narrative. A kid can instantly get this. I mean, they have ideas all the time. And now they have a framework to understand how their own little ideas could become actual, real things.
Okay, so once the process is clear, the course moves on to the person who actually does this stuff. But instead of just saying engineers or architects, it creates this archetype that speaks directly to a child's imagination. Let's take a look. Come on, this is just so powerful, right? It taps into a concept that every kid on the planet understands, a magician. And then it just gives it this little twist. It says that the power to create isn't fantasy, it's real. And the source of that power, well, it comes from your very own mind. It instantly makes the designer a hero, this totally aspirational figure.
And this side-by-side comparison just seals the deal. It takes the abstract tools of a designer, brain, and creativity, and it puts them on the same level as a magician's concrete tools, like spells and wands. But what really, really lands the punch is that final line. Designers don't create illusions. They create real things. And that, to a kid, makes their magic even more powerful.
All right, so now the kids get what design is, and they get who designers are, so what's next? How do you get them to actually start seeing it in the world around them? Well, you don't give them a lecture, that's for sure. You give them a mission. You basically gamify the whole act of learning.
And this, right here, is the core strategy. Instead of just trying to pour information into a child's head, the goal is to give them a brand new identity, the design detective. And that simple shift, it changes everything. Suddenly, learning isn't a chore anymore. It's an exciting investigation where the entire world is just full of clues waiting to be discovered.
And these are the detective's orders. Just notice how active these verbs are. Look, ask, understand, discover. This isn't about memorizing a bunch of facts. It's a toolkit for curiosity. It empowers a kid to deconstruct their own world, to look at something as simple as a pencil or a backpack and ask, wait, why is it this shape? How was this even made? What's the secret here? So when you start putting all these pieces together, you've got the simple formula, the magician archetype, and now the detective mission. What you get is something way bigger than just a single lesson on design. What you really get is a fundamental shift in perspective. And this really gets to the heart of it all. The Designland approach, it isn't just teaching STEM. It's basically installing an operating system for curiosity. It gives children this new lens to view their entire environment, to see that everything around them was imagined first and then created with a purpose. The world is no longer just a random collection of stuff. It's a library of amazing stories and brilliant solutions.
You know, what's so powerful about this is that this method works for anyone, not just kids. The next time you pick up your coffee mug or you sit down in your office chair, try it. Try being a design detective just for a moment. Ask why it is the way it is. You might be absolutely amazed by the secrets that you find hiding in plain sight.